Good evening. Welcome to the Think It's All Over, your weekly football podcast that doesn't take itself too seriously. You just got yourself and myself and Crippy tonight because Liam's off tanging it with woos and poor Andy's at work. How are you doing, Crippy?
Yeah, not too bad. Cheers, Ash. Looking forward to it.
Good. Are you prepared? Are you ready?
As much as I ever am.
I mean, you did the running sheet this week. I haven't added a thing on it. It's all yours. So
yeah, there's actually quite a lot to cover. So I think will be good for me. Yeah,
loads.
Yeah.
And not one mention of the fact that England play on Friday.
I it washed me when I saw the Southgate squad. I was like, oh yeah, there's a game on, isn't there?
Exactly.
Completely had forgotten. Yeah.
But at least it gives us something to talk about next week.
Exactly.
Andy's joined us. Hi, Andy. How are you doing?
All right, Andy.
And there's Kevs. Where's Andy and Liam?
Who cares, Kev?
Liam's decided that having fun and going to a gig's more important than speaking or a door in public. Right then. Oh, this is Friday. I thought it was it's Tuesday, mate. It's 8 o'clock Tuesday.
Yeah. Come on, Kev.
But yeah, England game is Friday night, mate. There's nowhere else to start, really, is there, other than that?
It's got to be done.
Pretty damn impressive. That's the treble wrapped up. Bit of salt kicking about on the old interwebs.
I saw Goldbridge already was saying, he's not the only one, but they've all been saying, our treble was harder. It was like, oh yeah, because sides win it every year that we can really have this kind of debate, whose treble was better. There's been like a 24-year gap between the two sides. You've got to just give them credit where it's due.
The point is they've done it. It's historical.
Exactly. It's clearly not easy to do. Chelsea couldn't do it when they had their influx of money as well. Man City's taken all this time to do it. It's not easily done, is it? So you've got to just say, fair enough, Man City are on top right now. Well done.
You just got to, like you said, swallow it.
Yeah, for sure. I understand why people have an issue though, because with Man United, when they won it, they were kind of the underdogs to win the Champions League. That's why it was exciting that they made it that far. Whereas everyone was sort of saying to Man City, well, when is it going to be? It's got to be this season. It's got to be this season. So when they do win it, everyone's sort of like, yeah, finally, there we go. Rather than, oh, this is incredible. This is amazing. I think so. They've obviously got that against them. There's always been like an asterisk next to their win, but they've done it. They've won all 3 trophies, and you have to give them credit because they've done what PSG haven't. I always said PSG went to be the team to do it with Messi, Neymar, and Mbappe, but they've fumbled the bag, haven't they? Man City delivered.
Yeah, but again, what's wrong with being dominant?
Yeah,
okay, they were expected to win it. Isn't that a good thing?
And they did it.
Yeah, whether they found it harder or not to get there, it doesn't matter, does it? The fact is, they did it.
And they beat Real Madrid on the way through, which were the holders, weren't they? So,
yeah, they didn't get a bye into the final.
No, exactly.
They still had to beat top teams to get there. They still had to chase down Arsenal to win the league.
Yeah,
they had to beat their local rivals in the FA Cup. It wasn't just a walkover.
Exactly.
And, like you say, PSG got Messi, Neymar, and Mbappe up front, and they couldn't do it. So
still couldn't do it.
Maybe just take your salt to keep it to yourself.
They're scared because they know that Guardiola's now in with the greatest of all time conversation, where he's got a legitimate stake now to claim it. And I still think Fergie deserves the title because he did raise an academy team. He had half the team was academy players, and that is unheard of. But Guardiola now he's won it with 2 different clubs. He's won title after title at Man City as well. It's like if he's not at least in the top 3, who is? What more does he have to do?
He's won 5 league titles,
3 in a row.
Yeah, I mean,
wow.
I put the Champions League at the bottom purely because it's the newest one, not because it's worse. Carabao Cup. Couple of Community Shields there as well. I mean, he's got to be in that shout, hasn't he, for the greatest?
Oh, definitely.
I mean,
I remember after their first season, everyone thought that it wasn't going to happen, didn't they? Because they finished 3rd, and it was like, oh, he doesn't know how to manage England, he can't handle it. And then he shut everybody up second season. And since then, he's not looked back.
Yeah, he's just dominated. And he deserves everything, to be honest. Yeah. Grealish got on my nerves yesterday because Anthony thinks they're good for kids to watch. Grealish hasn't sobered up since the final.
No, I honestly don't think he cares.
It's ridiculous what he's up to, but at the end of the day, he's earned the right to get pissed and act like a tit.
Yeah.
And we're glad he did. Flagged off Almiron, and Almiron became a fucking world beater. So
yeah,
Grealish.
He's not the first, he won't be the last, will he? You know, the thing is, he grabs headlines because he's Grealish, but there's a 20 odd other players there that are going to be drinking and having fun that aren't grabbing the headlines like Grealish does. But because we know he's a bit of a party boy, he loves amplifying that on social media. He's not ashamed by it. He wants to embrace it. So it always gets people's.
I find it hard to criticize him too much because of all the stuff he does behind football, with like disabled kids and disadvantaged kids and things like that. The man's got a heart of gold.
Exactly.
And if he wants to let his hair down, maybe look like a tit, crack on, mate.
It's not a crime. Hi, Mark.
Evening, Mark. Thanks for joining. Can't see anyone challenging City for a while. Arsenal went close, but they had Liverpool, Finland, and Rodgers when they finished second. It took years, didn't it?
Yes.
That's why I was.
Fun.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I was going to bring up tonight is, as you can see by our new fancy background, we have a website now at TTIAO.co.uk, and I've just done a piece on there tonight about Arsenal going for Declan Rice. And I basically thought that if Rice was at Arsenal this season, they would have won the league.
Yeah,
he'd have helped them finish, but that doesn't mean by any stretch that they'll win the league next season, because
no.
With Manchester City now having that treble behind them, they're going to be buoyed and they're going to be even better, and that's before they bring anybody else in.
Exactly.
Liverpool and Chelsea are going to come back stronger.
Yeah,
Newcastle there or thereabouts, but I think they're going to struggle to repeat this season's success next season. But yeah, no, I can't see anyone coming close to City.
No, neither can I. Newcastle are going to have it hard next season because the word is out now about Newcastle that they're a good team again. They're here to stay. So it's no longer, Newcastle are, or we're surprised by how good they are this season. Then now they're going to be respected as a top 4 team. So sides aren't going to give them an inch next season. So you're going to have teams are going to treat you almost like a cup final in a way, where Newcastle come to town. Oh, the cameras, the story, the media. Now we're going to try and put in an effort. So it's going to be it's going to be a really hard season. I think if Newcastle can still get any form of Europe, it's a good season still. I really do think that. I don't think they have to be like, we finished 4th, now we have to finish 3rd or 2nd. I think if you go into it with that kind of mentality, trying to stay in the top 4 every season is hard. Even the Sky Big Six, they struggle to do it, and they've got all the resources, they get all the headlines, all the cover, the agents do all their bidding for them, and they still can't do it. So, yeah, City's dominance, it does say a lot, doesn't it? Because no team has managed to keep up with them. Liverpool did the closest, didn't they? And then they fell by the wayside, and they've had to have one season to recover. And we'll see if they can come back next season and come close.
Do you think they'll come back anywhere near that top, though? I mean, I think top 4 maybe, but I don't think they're going to be pushing for the title.
I agree. I think top 4. The other thing is, I really don't know who's going to come close and even get 80+ points next season, apart from City. Because I don't think Arsenal are going to do as well next season because they're getting Champions League. Chelsea maybe, but I still think that squad needs a couple of windows to clear out some of the trash before they're in a position to really push on. Man United maybe. I don't think they're going to challenge City like Arsenal did. They'll be top 4, I think, Man United. Newcastle again are going to be around there as well, but I don't know if anyone's going to really keep level with them unless City have a bad start.
Man, they might.
Which they might.
If Grealish hasn't sobered up by then, they might. Hang on. Andy Klopp, Liverpool push City next year. Well, yeah, with given the fact that fucking the FA have decided not to go ahead with the new technology for offside, the one that we saw in the World Cup and we've seen in European competitions, no, Premier League said no. Why? I think the official excuse was that it's too soon to go changing. It's like upgrading an iPhone every year type thing, and they're always just going to be chasing the technology, so they don't want to do it every year. But this is such a massive leap forward, and it's so much more accurate and better than the current system.
Fans can't complain. There's no
put it in and take
no doubt. Exactly, yeah. And they have been updating the rules every year with handballs. They go back and forth, didn't they? Where before they were like, every bit of contact handball now. We're not, even if it wasn't deliberate handball. And then they were like, oh no, we're giving away too many penalties and free kicks outside the area. So we now need to try and make it, you move your hand towards the ball. And obviously the offside rule has changed numerous times, where it used to be distance, there used to be a gap between
clear
players,
daylight.
wasn't there? Clear daylight. And then now it's the armpit thing and a goal scoring position. So I don't know what they're talking about. We always update it to try and make it as clear cut as we can, so that everyone knows what offside is. So I don't really buy that excuse.
Exactly, and then given that new technology, it takes out the human, the whole thing of drawing lines.
Absolutely, yeah.
There instantly within 30 seconds, you've got a 3D image. You can spin around and look if he's offside or not. Why would you not want that? It takes
no one can argue with it.
The linesman, the VAR. Why would you not want it?
Yeah, I agree. They're just making a rush for them back, aren't they? Because it's not as if they've nailed offsides this season. It's been like the biggest thing people have had the most gripes about, and yet they're just making it worse on themselves by not getting the help that they need.
It's like it just feeds into Liam's theory that it just makes it easier for them to make those questionable decisions wrong, so that it keeps the league alive a little bit.
Yeah.
Which is pathetic.
I think they'll change their mind eventually, but it might be another year or so. Yeah, they have been, Kev.
Pathetic, yeah.
Yeah.
Was that ball still in play during the last World Cup when Japan scored that goal for Germany out?
Oh, God, yeah.
That was one, but they used that technology in the end to prove that the ball was out. That's how accurate it is. So bring it in for offsides in the Premier League.
I remember that.
Absolute toss-pots of Premier League. Not sponsored. But we've gone on about City a little bit there, but it wasn't just them, was it? It wasn't just them.
Yeah,
West Ham. Massive, that.
Yeah, me too. Proper club, West Ham, aren't they? Proper club. I don't think many people have beef with West Ham. Obviously, they have the reputation back in the hooligan days, but now people appreciate them for being a traditional club again, and very happy for them. Jealous because I'm a Villa fan.
Yeah, I was jealous. I mean, I put that in. It's the only one that Johnson's paid trophy of Europe. That's just pure banter and jealousy. I mean, I'd have it in the trophy room at Newcastle, no problem.
Well, yeah, that's what I wanted to. I put on the thing. Would you want a trophy and then just be in the Premier League next season, or would you prefer to be a Newcastle situation where you've got Champions League football and you're at a club where you could probably challenge for trophies on a regular basis?
I think what were you wording on here, wasn't it? Was would you prefer West Ham's season over Newcastle's?
Yeah.
I think Newcastle's for me. Because it was it wasn't just one big moment at the end of the season. The whole season's been absolutely brilliant for us.
Yeah.
But if someone had offered me
a trophy
at the start of the season and said, look, you're going to have pretty dodgy season in the Premier League, but you will win a European Cup at the end of it, I'd have snapped the fucking hands off. Of course.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
But I don't think either fan base would swap seasons though.
No, and that's interesting, isn't it? I agree with you there. It's just I think Newcastle fans will say, well, next season we've got so much to look forward to. Where West Ham are like, well, this is probably the best it's going to get because the squad's going to get picked on. We're going to lose Declan Rice or whatever. So this has been our peak. Whereas Newcastle, the best is yet to come, I'd argue.
Considering they weren't West Ham allowed to wear their sponsor, looking to do with betting companies in competitions, isn't it?
Yeah,
trying to phase them. Well, they are phasing them out in England as well. So,
and they took their time, didn't they, doing that?
You've gone there, Declan Rice. Where's he going? But I think since writing that and now it looks pretty much nailed on. It's Arsenal. Isn't it?
I really like the signing. I really like it.
I think
he's ahead of his player.
It works on every level, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And we said about London, didn't we, before on the last pod, how players love to stay in London. So for him, it's perfect. He gets to play for a club in the Champions League, stays in London, and Arsenal are growing places.
They're gonna get rid of Xhaka, aren't they? He's off. This season, so it's a direct replacement. But what a step up! I mean, I like Xhaka.
Yeah,
he's a bit
me too.
But he's a good player. But Rice is just something else. I would have loved him at Newcastle, but we were never going to find a club.
He's it's interesting because you can see that he's been schooled by Mark Noble because he's such a professional and he's really taken that leadership on board at West Ham. And what he'll bring it to Arsenal, where it's not just I'm the star now, I'm here to whatever. He'll, like with Zinchenko, try and galvanise that team to win something and to be a unit. And and obviously we've seen how good he is for England. So fair play to Arsenal. It's a hell of a signing.
It's quality. I'm going to come on to that comment from Kevin in a minute because it's a good one.
Just quickly on the Rice thing, I would say it's kind of bittersweet for someone like Calvin Phillips because when Phillips was at Leeds, we all knew that he was a player that could probably play for a big six kind of club. But he's at Man City. He's won things technically, but he's barely played this season. Whereas Rice has had another season at West Ham, won a trophy. Now he's going to Arsenal. He's going to be a regular. And Calvin Phillips must be thinking, I wish I was playing. I'm happy that I've technically won something on the CV, but I wish I was playing because I'm kind of like a laughing stock at the moment because I'm not playing many games. Whereas Rice is going to be a regular next season for Arsenal, week in, week out. Whereas Phillips is going to still be secondary to Roger and thinking, we should both be, if I'm an England international, I should be playing regularly for a club here. Shouldn't just be sitting on the bench.
And I rate Calvin Phillips really highly.
Me too.
See him go to Man City. I saw it coming when it was announced. I was like, well, he's not getting into that first team.
No.
But he has got 3 winners' medals now, and he played about 5 minutes all season. That's pretty.
It's impressive. A no-brainer for Pep, isn't it, to sign someone like him because he's a brilliant box-to-box player. So it's a no-brainer that you can bring him off the bench and he won't let you down. But it's just sad that someone like him isn't playing regularly because he'd be such an asset for pretty much every team other than Man City.
I don't think he'll drop down the Championship, Andy. No offense.
Sorry, Andy.
Class. What's it? Arsenal done now? No, it's not done, but it's very close apparently.
Yeah. He was in with Bayern Munich, wasn't he? And they pulled out. They pulled out the deal because Arsenal are pretty much leading the charge. So.
Yeah, it's the red carpet has been rolled out, I think.
Yeah.
As Andy says, players notoriously break through in the second season under Pep. Yeah, which is fucking frightening when you think of Haaland.
Very true.
This was his warm-up season. Jesus Christ.
Well, look at Grealish, prime example. First season, he was in and out of the team because he wasn't playing well. Now he's a regular in that team, keeping out Mahrez, Foden. Obviously, Foden did come on in the final, but Foden was on the bench for the final. Grealish was starting.
Foden maybe wouldn't have come on if it wasn't for De Bruyne.
Exactly, yeah. And Grealish stayed on for the whole game. So it says a lot for how he's turned things around after a year. And people forget that it's not easy to play under a Pep team. That's why Sterling, Gabriel Jesus, and Zinchenko left, because he's not the easiest manager to play under. He's kind of a big nerd. He's obsessive, and he works his players to the bone. So, yeah, there's a lot of players that it just doesn't work out. But
I wonder because obviously Pep's got his head screwed on. He knows what he's doing. So I wonder if when he signs these players, he says to them, look, first season, they'll probably not use you very often.
I think so.
I want you to just get in and around the team and get a feel for how everything works. We'll bring you on when you need it and whatever. And then next season, if you've proved yourself, if you stick around, we're going to launch you. So,
I think so. There are some players that don't cut the mustard, and he says, I think it's not going to. Like with Ferran Torres, he wanted to leave, so Pep was like, yeah, fair enough. It hasn't quite worked the way I thought it would. But like I say, with Grealish, he knew Grealish was going to be a long-term project. From what he showed at Villa in England, he knew there was a player in there. So he wasn't going to panic that he had a bit of a dodgy first season. The Grealish's problem was that actually he was too worried about losing the ball because Pep is obsessed with keeping the ball, and he was inhibiting himself for the sake of the team, even though he still played quite a lot despite the performances. But I do hope that Calvin can get some more game time next season, whether he'd be loaned out or something, I don't know, but it's just a shame.
Yeah. Andy saying I think he knew he'd be a squad player. He's good, but he's never going to house Rodri.
Yeah, I'm sure he expects that. But I do think he probably thought he'd play more than he has done. I reckon he felt, well, I should come off the bench most weeks at least. I might start a few cut games here and there. I might even play out a position just to help out. Because I wrote an article a while ago about Phillips filling in as a fullback, because Pep did that with Fabian Delph back before, just as cover. Yeah. You know what Pep's like, but he's opted to have centre backs as fullbacks instead. So wasn't quite on the money with that. But yeah, we'll see if he plays more.
Before this disappears, we'll go on Kevin's questions here, because obviously Villa have Castor, don't they, as their kit manufacturer?
Yeah, Castor, yeah.
Same as Newcastle, not exactly setting the world on fire. Our fans have been whinging. I mean, our kits look fantastic.
I agree.
It has looked amazing, but the quality's dog shit, apparently. I've never owned one because they don't make them in marquee size. So I've never had my hands on one. But it's been hell on about Newcastle's new one. Everybody loves it, but they've looked on the badge, and where they've stitched the badge on, it says Newcastle United.
Oh, God.
I mean, it doesn't. It's a stitch in It's obviously because the stitching's got to join up at some point, so it looks like two T's together.
Yeah.
And fans are actually taking their shirts back to the club shop and kicked off. And last season,
they're about 90 quid, aren't they? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, they're fucking ridiculous how much a shirt is now. I think they were only about 40 quid last time I bought one.
Well, I get mine off Sports Direct 4 years after they've come out for dirt cheap, so I have to save money. But to answer Kev's question, yes, Villa fans do moan about shirts just as much, about the quality of the stitching. They fall apart in the washing machine. Some of them, when I see them, I'm stunned by how bad quality they are, and for how much they charged. It's embarrassing.
And then last season, they couldn't ship them properly. There was massive delays. People weren't getting them when they'd ordered them.
Something like that.
One fan even got their Newcastle shirt delivered wrapped in Rangers paper or in a Rangers bag or something. It's just like it's so fucking Mickey Mouse.
Yeah.
But it's annoying because, like I say, the kits look bloody beautiful.
Amazing. One of the best kits this season from what I've seen from the league. They look incredible. But obviously I love Villa and you love Newcastle, but this kind of thing drives me nuts because the fans are what make a club. And when the fans are being treated for mugs when it comes to this kind of merchandise, expensive merchandise, where the fans are doing their bit, they want to rep their colours and they kind of get shit on by the club. It does really wind me up.
Yeah. It's a lack of respect, isn't it? But it's not.
It is.
It's not even the club's fault, really.
No, it's the manufacturers, isn't it, behind it? It's just frustrating because it's like you're charging us 90 odd quid for a shirt these days, and fans are still saying, "Yeah, fine, I'll buy one," but it's got to last me at least a season. I can't have it fall apart after one wash.
I mean, I saw on Facebook today somebody put 3 shirts on Facebook saying how much you think these are worth, and they're like, there was one that had Philippe Albert's name on the back, an old Asics one. I think there was the blue Asics one as well, and then another one, I think it might have been an Umbro, but they were all immaculate.
Yeah.
That wouldn't happen with a Castor shirt.
No, I've got a Villa
20 years' time. Anyone selling a strip of black and white I've got left over from my Castor shirt.
I've literally got a Villa top from 13 years ago. I wear to football all the time, stick it in the wash, and I think only one letter of the front sponsor, was Acorn, the hospice that Villa contribute with. That's only come off recently, and I've had that shirt for God knows how long. So yeah, I don't know what they're making them of these days, but it's not as good as it used to be.
It's not the same. I saw another Newcastle shirt on had like Northern Rock on the front, but it was used to be on this massive thick piece of like fuzzy felt. That was unbelievable. Newcastle's new sponsor reminds me of the All Sports sponsor on Charlton shirt. Yeah, white with a black sort of outline around it does. That new Italy shirt. Though.
Yes. Yeah.
I should have put the picture on here, but yeah, that's a bit.
Check out the website later on. Maybe we'll put it on there. I'm not saying I will, but maybe somebody will.
I'll do it in the background. Watch this, and then we'll seamlessly bring it back up later. In the chat.
You're just gonna hear tapping in the background for some silence.
Yeah, absolutely. It helps if I look in the right chat here.
It is beautiful there.
It really is. Yeah, Adidas have absolutely nailed it.
Yeah.
Right, what else? You keep talking. McAllister has now gone to Liverpool, and Casado could be on his way out as well. So, yeah, Brighton will probably not even be worried, will they?
I know, they could just recruit more. But McAllister's one to phone because people are criticising that like he's not a good player. I'm like, have you seen him? He's fantastic. He's really good. It's a good signing. I think it's because of Liverpool. They just don't like Liverpool. And it's like, okay, fair enough. But you have to appreciate that Liverpool aren't Liverpool of the early 2000s, where they're not a joke anymore. They're a good club, and they've done really good business for a while now in the transfer market. McAllister's a hell of a signing, I think. They've needed a midfielder. They needed one more, I'd say. But he's a great player. Yeah,
it's ridiculous, like how people are saying that he's not worth it. I mean, not worth it. He was 25 million. They've stolen him.
That's a real bargain. It is, yeah.
Casado, where's he going to go, do you think?
Big fan of him, yeah. Massive fan. He was linked with Arsenal, wasn't he, as well? Arsenal fans were getting excited at the prospect of signing him and Rice. I was like, yeah, I don't think you realise how much Arsenal have to spend.
Yeah, I think that's one or the other situation, right?
Exactly, yeah. They're playing Football Manager, I think, now. But, I'm not sure with him where he'll go. But I do feel for Brighton because they have had an amazing season, better than last season after losing key players. And once again,
And
bigger clubs are just picking off their players. Yeah, and then obviously the manager gets linked with every job. He's always like a third favourite for any vacant job, isn't at the moment, because he's done so well. So I do feel for them, but I hope they'll be able to keep some of their star players.
You've probably got 3 or 4 already on the books, man. You'll just say, right, it's your turn.
Well, they're in the Europa League, so it's like they've got a lot to, there's a lot to play for there. A lot of reason for players to give them one more year. That's the thing that clubs would often say to a player, okay, we'll let you go. Just give us one more year, one more season in Europe, and then we'll let you go. No qualms about it. But I understand when players get an offer from a club that they've always wanted to join, they've got to go.
There you go. He's a World Cup winner.
Yeah, absolutely. And he was good for Argentina.
As long as Brighton's recruitment continues the way it is, they can continue to sell because scouting network second to none. Like
it will run out now, in my opinion.
Talking of Italy, all 3 Italian clubs lost in all 3 finals. Lovely, eh?
I feel for them. On the Brighton thing, I would say that like with Southampton had the same, didn't they? Where they were churning out some good youngsters for a while, and then when it stops and they struggle. So Brighton will only be able to do this for as long as their scouting can continue to get hits every season. But every club has one season where the signings just don't work. You can look at every metric and think, yep, this player should be suited, and then they just get overawed by the pressure. Something that you couldn't attribute, a test to or whatever. And then if that doesn't work and you've come in to replace a key player that was sold, that summer, they're going to struggle. So Brighton have done really well so far that it's worked out for them, but it's risky being a public selling club like that, because you do put yourself at risk of having a really dodgy season because you've let key players go thinking that we can spend only a fraction of the money we've made and still be competitive.
And also at a certain point, bigger clubs are going to come and take that scouting network off you.
Exactly.
Newcastle already took Dan Ashworth, and he was like the backbone of the entire operation. But,
we're doing it with Sevilla. We're getting Monchi in to work with Emery again. So you say it happens.
It does. But by the way, look at that.
Oh, it's beautiful. It is a nice kit.
It's just so simple, elegant, and just perfect for an anniversary shirt.
It is. It reminds me of Real Madrid's kit. Real Madrid had a similar kit, didn't they, with the gold thing? It was very nice, very nice.
Yeah, and the same sort of thing. Like you look at, obviously, it's a white shirt. Sometimes you can say to yourself, like, it's a bit difficult to make anything nice out of a white shirt. Spurs just churn the same kit out every year.
I know.
With a slightly different pattern hidden in the detail. But yeah, they've done well with the black.
Well, the white kit is always something where I've always been bored with England's kits because we wear white, so like there's no other variety of it in our shirts. It's always been an issue where you look at Netherlands, they've got that beautiful orange. France have different shades of blue. Even Germany could go with the white and sometimes the green, whatever stripes and things like that. But England have always just been boring white, and it's always been a little bugbear of mine. And it's like, so I always look forward to our away kits more.
I kind of like the blue bits on it, but I hate these triangle bits that come out of the collar on all of Nike's kits.
They're trying to get modern, I know.
It's just horrible. It just doesn't work. When you've got so many other good touches and like nice flourishes and that, and then you've got that thing just stuck on there. Shite. Looks more great. Turn the brightness up on your screen. not too much, because I'll just disappear. I don't know what the fuck the lighting's doing at night. Oh, come on then, Crippy. It's in your headline.
Tielemans. I was genuinely surprised that we signed him. I
came out of nowhere.
It did. I remember last year when before Phillips went to Man City, we were linked with Calvin Phillips, and I was like, no, it's not going to happen. I was saying it's not going to happen. There's going to be bigger clubs that get him. And I was right in that regard. I was saying the same about Tielemans. I was like, well, yeah, we are in a better position than Leicester, obviously, they've gone down, but he could go to Liverpool. Tottenham would probably consider they're better than us, even though they finished lower, when it comes to how many years they've been above us or whatever. So I figured that Tielemans would go there, Newcastle, maybe that kind of thing. So I was really, really shocked that we managed to secure it. I wonder how much we're paying in wages to do so, but really good player for the squad. Really improved us.
What annoyed me is I'd written a piece about like Tielemans to Newcastle because he was linked earlier on that day, and I was like, it'd be a damn good signing. People are writing him off. He'll be a good signing for us. scheduled it, it went live, and then 10 minutes later it was announced he come to Villa. I was like, oh, well, I look like a prize wank.
Yeah.
But it was a
really
damn good bit of business.
Me too. He doesn't dethrone anyone in our first team at the moment, but he's a good replacement for Douglas Luiz. There's a lot of fans have got an issue with his lack of athleticism, and I understand that, but there is a good player in there, and what he showed at Leicester last season isn't indicative of what he is as a player. A lot of players struggled last season at Leicester. We have to remember that he is a cracking talent, so I really am pleased.
That's exactly what my entire article was about. It was just like, if Eddie Howe gets his hands on him, gives him his confidence back, gives him a purpose, and he'll be back to when he was touted as one of the best midfielders in Europe at one point.
Exactly.
So, we say it all the time. Form's temporary, class is permanent.
It is. And if you can't, I totally understand when players struggle at clubs that are, getting relegated, because I've said before that you come in to training every day and the mood is just down. In games, the mood is down because you're expecting to lose. So it affects your performance. Some players can thrive and still turn on their best, but most players don't. That's why they're down there, isn't it? Harvey Barnes has been one player who's thrived. Maddison has thrived for half of it, I'd say. But Tielemans just faded. Clearly didn't enjoy being there, didn't enjoy the system he's playing in, didn't enjoy anything at Leicester. So I'm hoping being at a club like Villa now, we'll see him back to his best.
Fingers crossed. Him more than Villa. What about the Ox?
It's been lauded as like, another great signing for the squad. I was like, but he doesn't play. He's been... I like the Ox. He's a good player, but he hasn't. The reason why we've got him is because he's spent all season injured, and he's spent the last few years kind of injured, which is sad because he's a talented player. But I don't know how much we're going to see of him, to be honest. I don't know what his condition is.
It's a risk, big risk.
It is a risk. I think I get it for free. You think, well, we need to have a big enough squad for Europe, so someone like the Ox is, shouldn't embarrass us. We could put him in if we have to put him into a game. I get that, but Liverpool released him for a reason, and that was because they've not been able to use him. They thought the same when they signed him from Arsenal. They thought, here's a cracking player that we can use. He won't he won't necessarily be a regular, but he's a great player for the squad. But he hasn't even come close to that just because of his fitness issues. So I don't know.
Similar thing with Newcastle and Teeny. Everyone's saying he's too injury prone, but if you look at it, his injuries record's not that bad. Mr. Facebook User, what was the announcement? I've only just jumped on. The announcement is we now have a website, ttiao.co.uk, and a Twitter at TTIAOPod. Follow them both. We'd very much like to have you. That's a good question. How old is Ox these days?
I think he's 30 now.
Is he hitting 30? I thought he must have been up there.
So. I think so now.
30 is now these days.
And he's versatile. You can play him as an auxiliary winger if you wanted to. You can play him as a box-to-box midfielder. So you can even play him as an auxiliary wing-back as well. He has played that for Arsenal in the past before he joined Liverpool. I think he's at Liverpool too. So he is a useful player and he's a workhorse. He's a technically good player as well. So I get why. It's just we're gambling. That's the thing. We are gambling on his fitness, and we'll see if it pays off or not.
Kev saying Ox has passed it then, not so much because he's 30, but more because of what you've just said about his fitness.
Absolutely.
30 is nothing these days. I mean, obviously, growing up playing Football Manager and Championship Manager, if a player turned 30, it'd be a fucking straight in the contract. But now players are playing well into the mid-30s. And
into his late 30s, and Villa fans wanted him to stay at Villa. He's been released this summer and everyone's gutted. The guy's in the late 30s now and still playing really well, looks really fit, professional. Look at James Milner as well, Lallana as well, doing his thing. So it's not
got to 41, and he thought, I
think his body just said, you need to give this up, mate, otherwise you're not going to be able to walk with 50.
You're taking the piss now, mate. Sit down. Do I think Toon are getting too many youngsters? Absolutely not, no. We've bought that young Kuba Minty. He's just come in, going straight out on loan to Feyenoord for the season. We've obviously got Grant Quall that we brought in, Harrison Ashby that we nicked from West Ham. All hot prospects for the future. I don't think there's anything wrong with getting the kids in. Getting them in now, getting them bled in. The whole philosophy that Dan Ashworth puts in place is that from all the way down to like from the youth right up to the first team, all play the same style of football, all train the same way, just so anybody can make that progression. So yeah, more youngsters, talented youngsters we get in, the better. I mean, obviously it doesn't help us next season when we need 4 or 5 players to flesh the squad out.
Yeah,
if we're just getting youngsters in and shipping them out on loan. But I think, it can only help.
The future. You have to, because what will happen is you'll get, you loan them out, whatever, and then one will have a really good season, and then you go, oh, we can look at him. That saves us 30 million on a new player because we've already invested in the future by getting a nice hot prospect who just needed time to develop. And Eddie Howe is good with young players, isn't he? So that's what he was known for at Bournemouth, moulding younger players, impressionable players, that kind of thing. So I like the strategy. It's a long-term strategy, but I think Newcastle in the short term are still going to be fine. The squad's good, just like you say, just needs a few more numbers. So it's what you do. When you're happy with where the club is going, you then think of the future and think, well, we have to make sure that when certain players are in retirement age, we've got youngsters that are ready to take their spot. And you're going to see them being slowly blooded through, getting a few minutes here and there. And eventually, if the transition can be pretty seamless, it keeps Newcastle as a top team.
Kieran Trippier, and then he's got Harrison Ashby behind him, learning from him to take over when Trippier hangs his boots up. And
absolutely,
he's already been likened to Trippier in the way that he plays. So it's not a stretch that it could happen sooner rather than later. And
even Man City,
sorry,
even Man City, haven't they? Obviously, we know Foden's stepping up to the David Silva, Kevin De Bruyne role. He's going to be a mix of the two. But Cole Palmer as well is another one who's a good little playmaker. They had that, I've forgotten his name, but that young right back who replaced Walker for half the first half of the season. He'll be a good one for the future as well. So they're making sure their squad's future-proof. All clubs should do it if they've got the facility, the resources to.
And he's saying he hope Leeds give his youth a run out next season, and that's what I always thought. When Newcastle went down to the Championship, I was like, right, get the kids.
The one perk of relegation, if that can be said, it's the same with us with Grealish. Grealish could play at a level that he'd smash, and then he'd play every week, and he thrived because of it. Whereas the Premier League was just too much too soon for him. He obviously had talent back then, but he needed a sort of a league where defenders weren't quite up to the standards of Premier League, and it helped him to develop. So youngsters should thrive with that.
Carol asking Andy if it's a pain to see his players leave, but they need a big clear out. Too many players still there, should have been sold a year or two ago. But the biggest one that looks set to leave is Tyler Adams, and you don't really want to lose him, do you?
No. If Andy had his way, though, we'd probably have about 10 of those players gone. He's said for quite a few podcasts, he's not been very happy with a lot of those players.
That's frightening. Nonto and some of them would be frightening. But Newcastle will link with Tyler Adams today, and I was quite excited about that one.
Yeah.
Hell of a player. Hopefully that surgery's fixed whatever the issue was, and when he comes back, it's not going to be a recurring thing. And that'd be sweet. Other player linked with Newcastle is James Maddison, and it was next up on the list, so Kev saved us a job there. Is he going to go to Newcastle, do you think? Or is he going to pick Tottenham?
I said I'd go to Newcastle if I'm Maddison. I'd go to Newcastle, but we also made this argument about where would Maddison likely go, because he likes to be in the center of things, doesn't he? Yeah, he likes the lifestyle, so London probably would be better suited. But if you're a smart person, you're thinking, well, even if it goes wrong at Newcastle next season because of Europe, they've still got the backing financially to turn things around. Tottenham don't have that, do they? Tottenham are going to lose their best players. Newcastle aren't. Newcastle are only going to go one way, surely. So, I don't know. I don't see why Tottenham would be a good move for him. If Kane goes, you ought to be thinking, there's nothing here for me.
Exactly. But the trajectory of both clubs is so polar opposite at the minute, mate.
Absolutely.
Everything's coming together. We've got an up-and-coming manager who's earning the respect of all of his peers.
Yeah.
And Spurs on the decline, missed out on Europe in the last game of the season. They just took Celtic's manager off them because they couldn't get anybody else in. No disrespect to Ange Postecoglou, because I think he'll do a good job. But
he wasn't top of their list, let's face it. That's the thing. I don't want to be mean to Celtic fans, Paddy. Don't slap me. But we all know he wasn't top of their list, was he? He was probably 4th or 5th. That's the reality of it.
And with the uncertain future of Harry Kane, what players are going to be thinking, I don't want to go there?
Exactly.
Just don't want to go there. I think even Danny Murphy called out on TalkSport saying it all just comes down to ambition. If he's ambitious, he'll go to Newcastle.
I agree.
He just wants to la-di-da toit about, then he goes to Tottenham because of the London thing.
Because even the money won't be better at Tottenham. So it literally just is the idea of living in London. Newcastle would pay him handsomely. He'll start every week at Newcastle, probably, wouldn't he? Starts every week at Newcastle.
Yeah, he's bound to. At least he's going to play a big part. I just can't get my head on this London thing because it's not like Newcastle don't have electricity and
it's grew up north.
It's a fucking nice thing.
Yeah.
I don't get it. Plus, I've been to London and it's a rat's nest. So fuck off.
The thing is, if he wasn't considering Tottenham genuinely, it wouldn't even be. They wouldn't be linked with him now, would they? It'd be Newcastle. But the fact that Tottenham's still in the running shows that he clearly wants to keep that option open.
I think most outlets now are saying it's Newcastle, and it's literally just a case of agreeing the fee.
I think it's a cracking stand if they do it. Both parties should be very happy with that move.
There's obviously, I'm involved with the Evermore podcast, the Newcastle one, and the lads on there, the lad who started it, Chris, massive fan of Maddison. Me and him used to talk about getting him last season, like how excited.
Yeah.
And both of us this season have started to think, where does he play? If he comes in, where does he play in this system?
Yeah.
There's no home for him in the current system that Eddie Howe plays, really.
So
unless he gets moved out to the right or something.
So you have Bruno, Joe Linton, and
Willock usually, or Sean. Depending on which style we're going with. We don't really play with the number 10, and that's
you play 3, don't you? Yeah.
But what my argument is, I think Eddie Howe's played that way this season out of necessity because that was the best fit for the players that he's got. Now, if he can bring his own players in with the likes of Maddison, you can change his style up a little bit. You can mix and match to suit opposition a lot better. Because there were times last season where we were getting found out and we didn't really have the versatility to mix things up to show the defence or to break through. So, Maddison doesn't get into the team that played last season, but he will get in next season.
I think it's also, Maddison being in there might mean that someone like Joe Linton could then push up, be a forward again. He'd be an option as forward, but also
I think that's Brazilian international Joe Linton.
Absolutely. But also, I think because you've got two strikers that thrive on service that can score a bundle of goals if the service is good, Maddison is key to that, isn't he? Because if you can get the ball to Maddison on the half turn, he can feed it through. It's a goal. Similar to how Man City do with Kevin De Bruyne to Haaland. I think that's the idea Howe's got in his mind of we need that playmaker who plays between the lines, and then that'll give us another sort of an easier way of scoring goals. So I think I get the signing, and also the team kind of picks itself when it comes to training and whatnot, doesn't it? The levels. If Maddison shines, he'll go, okay, we have to make sure that we've got the balance to have Maddison just behind the striker. That means we have two sort of more deeper lying midfielders, which is going to be Bruno and maybe Longstaff. I don't know. Maybe can Joe Linton do that alongside Bruno? I don't know if he's disciplined enough. Probably not, is he? But maybe Longstaff.
I think in that role we'll see a lot more yellow cards. He already has a lot of those.
But it's a kind of a good problem to have, isn't it? Because you've got so much talent to fit into that team now. So hell of a signing if you get it.
Maybe I think it's too cold up north. I'll fucking tell that to my sweaty brow. It's roasting up here at the minute.
Yeah.
Would you like to see St. Maximin playing for Villa?
A couple of years ago, yeah. I don't even dislike him. Yeah, I just don't think we need him at the moment. We have a habit of signing frustrating wingers who have clearly got ability but bad decision making. And St. Maximin would just drive us nuts. Because one week he'd be on fire, second week he'd be a nightmare. Yeah.
I mean, he beats 4 men and then goes, oh, that was fun. I'll try and do that again.
Do another one.
Wilson's in the box going, simple pass, mate, and I've got to tap in.
Exactly, yeah, just whip it in.
Fucking annoys the shit out of us, but I think he'll go to West Ham.
Yeah.
West Ham
are so funny for that, though. They make the same mistakes as Villa do in the market, where they go, well, he's good half the time. Let's risk it. And it never pays off. They stop doing that. Yeah. Oh, it's all right. We can buy another one. You always do that kind of thing, West Ham. But yeah, not for me, please, Kev.
Maxi could say Newcastle, but I can't see it. I think there's a chance he will. Like a pretty good chance he will. But
I don't think he's happy there, is he? He's not happy not being the main man anymore.
Yeah.
Clearly doesn't like
he's going to
the
go
cryptic stuff. Yeah.
Andy's saying that Leeds have a 2-horse race for a new manager between Farker and Rodgers. Both had interviews.
I love Rodgers. Rodgers would be great.
I'd stay out with those two. Yeah, Rodgers is the one. Like, don't think Andy's stated a preference yet, but he's glad that Gerrard's going to go.
That's a good point. Saudi Arabia. Yeah, to can't pronounce the name, but he's gone to a Saudi Arabian club. So I understand that he's been thrown a lot of money to manage, but it takes away from your credibility when you get fired from a Premier League club and then you just go to Saudi Arabia. It's like, well, no one's going to look at you now, are they? Like, you've given up on the idea of trying to stay in England and to work your way back up again. So, that's you're done for a couple of years.
Saying Celtic might have Rodgers again. So
no way.
That Celtic wouldn't have Rodgers.
No, he'd get his house would get vandalised. His car would tire to be
thought it was bad when Benitez went to Everton. You see nothing.
Yeah. And I agree with the Celtic fans in this. He left when they were going to win the title. That's so disrespectful. They're not going to forgive that. So
Paddy was on the other week, and we mentioned Rodgers, and he put the 50 pence in, sit back, and away he went.
Yeah. Because Celtic fans hate the idea of Premier League being, we're automatically better than you. They hate that as it is. And for Rodgers to basically say that Leicester are better team to manage than Celtic, that just really rubbed it in.
Farker won the league twice with Norwich, could be a good shout. That's true. But the fact that he won it twice tells you something else. West Ham looking to offload Ben Rama.
Interesting. I like him.
Decent. I wouldn't have him in Newcastle. But...
No, same, but I'd like him for another club.
I'd be happy for somebody.
Exactly.
Harry Maguire at Newcastle, Everton, or Villa? Yes. Yeah. If the deal was right.
Yeah, I think I would, because it'd be good balance, because we need a right-footed centre-back, because Diego Carlos has been injured a lot and Conte's in and out sometimes. So, I think Maguire would be decent for us. And he can play, he's a good ball player.
But you put him in an England shirt and suddenly he's mint again. So it's clearly just something is wrong at Man United for him.
Yeah. Well, we know, even though he likes to drive out with the ball, he doesn't actually like running towards his own goal. That's when he gets exposed, Maguire. When he was good at Leicester, it's when they played a bit deeper. And he was really good at being organised in that regard. So if he is in a system where it doesn't require him to step out as much, I think he'll be fine.
Yeah, he's still a good player.
I agree.
I don't think I'd rely on him as much. But I would have him in the squad, definitely.
Yeah.
But again, that all depends on the finances, because ain't no way we're paying £190 a week for him.
This is the problem with players like that, where clubs put themselves into a hole where it's like, well, if it doesn't work out, no one's going to buy him because he's on far too much money for a centre back who's he's 30 now.
30 now, yeah.
Yeah, I think he's there. So where's the value in it? Well, who's going to pay that for a defender they're not entirely sure about? Not going to happen.
It will take you, but you're going to have to take half of your wage.
Yeah, and why would he? Yeah,
who's going to sign that contract?
It's almost like the Premier League should cap salaries, isn't it? And what a great segue that is.
That's a segue. Well done, son. I actually didn't know anything about this today until I read it on your list. And then
same. I just saw it
on Sky Sports. Clear anything up?
I've been saying for a while that I think it was going to be introduced because Man City are kind of taking the piss. They're pushing their luck, and it's like, okay, eventually you're going to have wages where people are going to go, it's getting a bit too out of hand now. Where you've got players earning more than £500 a week, and it's like, I think we need to try and put something on this, because it also means that they can monopolise the market, because any player that wants to sign for another club can just get twice as much as Man City. So I think it's the right move to do. It keeps the Premier League.
I just don't understand what they're doing with it. I mean, they're saying that it's going to be tied to the lowest revenue.
TV revenue.
TV revenue earning club. But then there's another part of it as well that has something to do with how much the club earns.
Right.
So it still doesn't make any difference, because
the richest clubs make the most money, don't they? So they can.
It doesn't help anything.
Yeah.
So I need more info on that before I can fully commit a rant to it. But at the minute, it doesn't make any chuffing sense.
I guess the thing is as well, that probably clubs will just get around this by just having bonuses anyway, won't they? And they'll be able to argue, oh well, his wages are only, his basic wage is only 100 grand a week, but his bonuses will be appearance bonus, goal bonus, blink bonus, I don't know, anything that they can throw money at these players for anything they can. So it still needs to be fine-tuned.
Less than minimum wage, but you make it up for the commissions, and you get away with them in less than minimum wage because of those commissions. So
exactly, yeah.
Companies don't get done, and you get fucking shafted and earned out.
I wonder if they'll have players earn like a percentage of sponsorship or merchandise deals as well if they cap wage. I'm sure they'll do that for players that are marketable, obviously. So like Grealish, Kevin De Bruyne kind of thing.
Deal
Ridiculous!
Train to Miami. That's dangerous. That's going to
set
a precedent for ridiculous shit. I mean, what's he getting? The percentage of the Apple revenue for Apple TV. He gets a percentage of the club, I think, doesn't he?
And people really thought he was going to play for Barcelona for free. I was like, shut up. He doesn't. Again, I'm not saying he's a bad person, but money is still a huge factor in every decision he makes. And he's not stupid. He's got the best thing he could out of going to America. So I don't like it. I really don't like it. I don't like the precedents it sets. But sadly, that's where it's going to go. Players always find a way, don't they, to get extra earnings.
And then obviously, like you say, the Premier League are trying to reduce this salary cap, but that's just going to cripple English teams in Europe because,
which is what Barcelona and Real Madrid were arguing about, wasn't it?
Yeah,
that's how we took over. Yeah, we took over because we could get better players in on big money because they could get more money in England than they could in Spain. Whereas now it kind of makes it a fair playing field, sort of, if they get it right.
Kev's just brought up a good point here because I thought this. RB Leipzig going to have any players left next season. You've got Dominic Szoboszlai, who's linked with Newcastle. He's probably on the way out. Josko Gvardiol is away to Man City.
Oh, I like him.
Who else? There's another one linked with Newcastle. I can't remember who it is now. But yeah, they're just... I mean, their model is essentially bringing in players on the cheap, progressing them, and selling one for a shit ton of money. And then they're all right. They don't need to spend again. But they're going to lose Gvardiol and possibly Szoboszlai this season.
Yeah. Gvardiol could literally get them 100 million. Close to 100 million as well. Yeah.
So that could potentially be 3 big transfers that. Yeah, great for them in terms of bringing money in, but if they don't replace those players.
Because they're in a position where they, like Dortmund can gamble on these young players and play them because their expectations aren't to win a league title. So it's stay competitive, try and get into Europe, and they're the perfect club for that. So I think that's why they thrive, because at bigger clubs, there's obviously the pressure of having to win every single game, whereas Leipzig don't quite have that. Obviously, they want to do well, but players will get more of a chance there, and it seems to work for them. But they get crazy money for those 3.
Yeah, it's going to be insane. I hope Newcastle do get Szoboszlai as well as.
I like him. Yeah,
he's amazing. He's absolutely
awesome.
Baller and a half.
Yeah.
Oh, we haven't got him here, but yeah, Everton could lose Pickford and Onana. Should we talk shit about Everton while Liam's up there?
If you're Pickford, are you going? Would you want to go? Would you?
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, I don't think Pickford wants to go through that again.
No,
I'm not sure Everton will go through that again, but Pickford could cut his losses now, and I don't think Everton fans would feel any less of him because he's been so bloody good for them.
I agree. And it's hard. If you're a goalkeeper, it's hard to get a move up because clubs tend to have stable goalkeepers for a while. It's always a position where you're never really going to get a look in for a while because clubs, like especially the big 6 clubs, they don't tend to change goalkeepers willy-nilly like that. Exactly, yeah. So it's a real surprise that Tottenham and Man United could both be getting rid of theirs. So I think Pickford will be thinking, "Oh, please, could somebody put in a bid in and save me?"
Need to get rid of that. He's done.
He's done. Yeah.
Era of football, but De Gea's still got years left in him, and he's not as dodgy as everyone makes out.
Won the Golden Glove, didn't he?
Goalkeeper is everybody only really takes notice of your mistakes.
Yeah. If you make 3 mistakes in a season, you're labelled as like a calamity, aren't you?
Dodgy keeper.
But, yeah.
What about Onana? He's going to be a difficult one.
I like him. Yeah, I like him. I think Liam said this as well. He's a really good player. Stands out a lot when he plays. I love him at Villa, love his energy at Villa. It just depends. Everton are in a position where they can still charge a lot of money for players like him, so maybe that'll be enough to scare clubs off. But what if now is like, well, hold on a minute, I kind of want to leave here because it's not really going too well at Everton, so you don't know, do you?
But things could be getting better on the horizon. Ken Wright and for the ball men are on their way out. It's just a shame that he picks the worst week to not
play. I know. He's been talking about it for a year and nothing yet.
He's been happy as Larry. You would have seen him smile for the first time.
See his little face light up.
I know. Well, we'll get him next week. I'm sure he'll still be buzzing.
I still think they need some surgery.
His Americanization of Leeds as well.
Poor Andy.
The 49ers. The Leeds United 49ers. The last thing on the list we have is Newcastle and Villa, keep or sell.
It was if we had time, because that is just going to go through every single player and keep or sell and talk a little bit about it. So it's just depending on how we were looking for things to talk about. So
yeah, I think we're on 56 minutes. I think we've done quite well to not need something.
Yeah, pleased with that.
To pad it out. Obviously, we will be back again next week, 8 o'clock live. Hopefully, Liam will have joined us again. Oh, hang on. If they keep dice.
Oh, bloody hell, Andy.
Bloody
hell. I know, Andy. Come on, mate. Don't bring that to the table. Come on,
mate. Might still watch this, you know. I can't remember whether or not Andy's back with us next week or whether it's the week after, but me and you will be here, Crippy.
We'll be here.
No life.
I have nothing better to do. If I had something better to do, fans, I would not be doing this podcast, I tell you.
You know what? It's nice little banners and everything. Check out our new website and follow us on.
Look at that video printer. I love it.
Right. And while we're begging, please hit the like button and subscribe. Thank you very much. And we will see you again next week at 8 o'clock. I think it's all over. It is now.